My name is Edward Norton. I founded Crowdrise with 3 partners. It's an internet platform that is engineered specifically to facilitate and maximize individual fundraising efforts, whether in the context of an individual wanting to support a cause that they care about, or for an organization building a platform through which they reach down through their support base and engineer grassroots crowdsourced fundraising. We felt that there was a gap between the experience that people have when they network for social purposes and the substance of being engaged in a good cause. In a nutshell, to us, Crowdrise was like, let's try to fuse these two things. Let's try to pull some of the substance from one side of the equation in with the fun of the other side and make something that's really altogether new, which is a different way of expressing your identity. The group of us who came up with the idea to actually build our own platform came to it out of a particular set of experiences we had where something we were looking for wasn't there. I'm on the board of a conservation organization that I'm very committed to and have worked on for many years, and we went to organize a fundraising campaign around the event of fielding a team in the New York Marathon. We had brought a few of these young Maasai warrior guys over from Kenya that I've known for many years and put together a team of 30 people to run in the marathon. Obviously, we were doing all the traditional things, going after corporate sponsors and looking for a few big angel funders, but we wanted to reach out in a grassroots way. So we kind of looked around at like what was out there in terms of the platforms that you could communicate on. Over on one end of the spectrum, we saw social networking platforms with an emphasis on the social, but not particularly well engineered specifically to engage people in a fundraising interaction. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there were, donation mechanisms. There were things that were clearly, you could set up and get people to donate, but they had almost none of the vitality and dynamism and personality and creativity of social networking platforms. We looked at each other and said, we can do better than this, and pretty quickly, in the course of a summer, set up our own team site. We raised about $1.2 million, more with 30 people than some groups had with like 300 people. That was the moment that we all kind of looked at each other and said, we could easily build this out into something that's, instead of being specific to the event we were doing, we could easily just pull the specifics out and engineer a really robust template that works well for individuals, works well for an organization. Let's see if we can build something that fulfills this niche. A lot of people have wondered, what's the substance of social networking? Is this just chatter? Is this just like, hey, look at me and what I'm doing? Why? For what purpose? Or is there anything to this? As generational critiques often go, I think a certain older generation of people were quick to sort of go, oh, how annoying. This is just sucking kids into this pointless world of texting and chatter, and what are they doing in there? And I think that it's a great mistake to write off the potency of a trend like this or a tool like this before it's even had a chance to really get going and work out what it's going to be. People thought like the Wright brothers sticking a lawnmower engine on this glider was sort of dilettantish playing around, and I think that's how a lot of people have looked at social networking. But 60 years later, we broke through supersonic flight. There's no way to know what social networking is turning into or going to become, but in a very short time, you're seeing many, many forms of maturation of the whole idea. Definitely do not get sucked into the mindset that these things are inherently top-heavy or front-end costly or anything. It's absolutely not true. It was possible to do it much more efficiently than a lot of people told us was the case. When we kind of surveyed the landscape of what was out there, in this particular sector even of IT stuff, and we dug around a little to sort of investigate what kind of costs, labor, what goes into this, we were pretty stunned to find out what people were spending on the front end to engineer these things, put them up. We had a really hard time figuring out what people were spending all that money on to create, we think, very bad products. What is possible for a young person with an idea in terms of executing it today, even more than 5 years ago, certainly more than 10 years ago, in terms of the speed with which you can engineer things, the software that's available in an open source way for you to construct these things. Suffice to say, I think, if people knew what it cost us to set Crowdrise up, they'd be staggered. I think it was like fractional compared to some of the other big name things that you've heard about. A large percentage of what people will contribute to something is sometimes it's as much a donation in support of a relationship as it is a donation in support of a cause. What we wanted to be sure to do was make sure that for the motivated person who's got a target and a goal, that what we were engineering was an incredible toolbox for them to use all of our best ideas that we've ever had, and even to source from other people by surfing around in the site effective ways of taking their motivation and their energy